What's up, you guys? Welcome to the second AFC Podcast. I'm Andre, Antonio, and then we have a very special guest today. We have Giovanni Calderón. He'll be going into the MLS Draft very, very soon, and we're very, very blessed to have the opportunity to sit down and talk to him about some of his values he has as a person, as a player, and where he's going to be taking his next steps in his career. So I wanted to open up with a question. I actually ended up listening to your podcast, your first ever, the Geo Show, just to plug it in. And it is an amazing podcast. And the stuff he has to say on there really, really hit home for me. It gives me the chills talking to it because it's something I've been trying to implement in my own life and really implement in my family's lives as well. And the first thing I want to talk about is the way you express yourself through treating others the way you want to be treated, the golden rule, and you being a captain on your team and many teams before Cal State Fullerton. I want to see how that's kind of influenced your role as a captain and how you treat others on a team in a very hectic situation. Yeah, that's my first question.
Yeah, well, Andre, it's awesome being here, first of all. You guys are great individuals, right? And just getting to know you, so rapidly, I could already understand your warmth, where your, personality comes from. And even Antonio, we go far back. We'll get into it all. But I just really appreciate it down to heart, not just because we're on media, but to be taken here, to be filmed, to spend time with both of you. That's awesome. And I just want to say thanks for having me on and shouting out the Geo Show. That's great. And I cannot wait to get started in this podcast. But to answer your first question, I told you earlier that I really think that people should be treated the way that they want to be treated rather than the way that you want to be treated. And it's a deep concept for me because I'm trying to understand the person as best as I can. And I kind of got it from the book called How to Know a Person and How to Understand People pretty deeply. I haven't mastered it by any means, but that's really where it comes from for me. And the way that it's influenced my leadership style is, you encounter all these different people from all different parts of the country, all different cultures around the world, internationally, and they come together to one spot to play one sport, and it brings them happiness, it brings them joy. And I've been in locker rooms where kids have lost their parents, or they're depressed, or kids can't get up for the day, and it's the same thing. It's just a repetition. They're just on a cycle. And when you treat somebody that they want to be treated, you make them feel heard. You make them feel understood. And everybody wants to feel understood. And it's difficult to do that. And so I try my best to do that. That's what I'm adding now to my leadership. And I can't wait to see how it blossoms.
Do you feel that in those heated situations, when you're on a field, say that league final, that league championship game that you guys had like 2 years ago with Cal State Fullerton, and you're really like something isn't going someone's way, and you rip into them as a captain in a loving way. Do you feel they understand that as the season goes on? Because I know in a college season you only have about not a whole year with each other, right? You guys have a good couple months to really get close with each other. How do you set that example as a captain and as a person right from the beginning so they know it's a place in that situation that it's coming out of love?
Yeah, that's a tough question. Like I said before, everyone's different. Everyone's coming from different cultures, different backgrounds, international. And when they're all in the locker room, you need to make them feel understood and heard. And the way that I do that is by loving tough instead of no tough love. And I learned that through a lot of trials, tribulations with teammates. If you rip it, if I don't know you guys and I just go to you, I'm like, you got to do better here. This isn't good enough. It's like, who am I to tell you? Who am I to tell you advice? You don't even know how I play. You don't even know my playing history. Even if I think I'm a good player, you have no idea. And so if I can come from the point, hey, can we go get lunch? And then we go get lunch. And then after you get lunch, you come back. Oh, you want to go play some ping pong tonight? Oh, I'm having a little get-together, a little kickback with my friends. You want to come over and spend time with us? And at that moment, someone really feels understood. They feel wanted. And And if you ask them questions about themselves, we all love talking about ourselves. And so if you give time to that person, I feel like once you build that relationship, then you could get into them because they're going to know they're going to know your morals and values and know it's not coming out of a place of being a terrible teammate, you know?
Yeah, that's great advice. That even goes way past the game as well. You know what I mean? That goes into life, so love that.
It's great. Yeah. I mean, what I would add to that, I mean, you know, we've been teammates. So I guess the backstory of us meeting each other, we both played for Ventura County Fusion, and that was in 2022. So we met each other then. We were teammates. You were my center back. I was your goalkeeper. We were kind of playing out what you had just talked about, which I wanted to touch on. And Gio was always the guy who had a smile on his face, who was bringing everybody together, which I love, because as a captain, which you were, you have to have that ability to bring people together. And like you said, from people who come from different backgrounds, who think differently and maybe perceive the team and why they're there differently, right? That season, everyone had different goals and places that they were going to end up. Guys like Nate went to Leicester, of all places, right? Guys went back to college, etc. A captain's job is to bring those guys together. And like you said, hey, let's go get some pizza, bring everybody together. Let's go watch the Champions League final together, right? Let's do these things where we get to learn who you are off the field, regardless of how you pass a ball or make a save. What type of person are you? And I think that when you do those things as a collective, as a team, those bonds off the field translate onto the field. And guess what? What happened in 2022?
National championship.
National champs.
We're there.
Right? USL2 national champs. And I don't think that was by mistake. There was a lot of guys in that locker room who understood what that type of leadership is, and they bought into it, which is important, right? So do you kind of see, I guess we can kind of go more off of that leadership idea, because it sounds like you've always had that quality about yourself. So take us back to like your childhood when you first started playing soccer, maybe your first club, where you grew up.
Yeah, can I tap into that Ventura moment for a second?
Yeah, sure.
So going into the Ventura moment, the reason I wanted to tap into it is because everything you just said was so spot on. The way you articulated your words is perfect. The guys really did buy in, and that's something that you really need. It makes it so special. And as a captain, you know, I'm first, like, this is the first time I'm trying this with this team. And either guys are going to buy in or they're not going to buy in. And I need to roll with the people who are going to roll, because you're not going to be liked at all times as a captain. But at Ventura, it was pretty special because all the guys bought in. And I made a joke today when you trained that girl, when I said, oh, Antonio's doing the planks now. He's doing the planks. But in training, you were always with the keepers. I'm not sure if you were there, but we would jog around the field, and I would count push-ups, and we would do planks, us as players, before every training at Ventura. People would be like, this guy, Gio, like, what is he doing? So stupid. Like, why the hell are we doing planks? 20 planks, and I'm like, everybody count. I'm like, 1, 2, and it's so funny because that stuff is what made the national championship. I think back at it, and it's the little things that make all the big things happen. And when you do something like that, where everyone's making fun of Gio, or, you know, it's team camaraderie, they're all laughing. And the weird part is I'm doing it with like intentionality. So like, I'm like, I know I'm going to do this. You guys are going to gang up and maybe laugh at me, but that's going to bring you guys closer. And so when I really break it down and I get into these combos, it's so fascinating how my mind works, or how our minds work, because there's so much intentionality behind it that guys don't even pick up on it. And they're laughing, they're joking like, oh, look at this guy. But in reality, they're being benefited and they have no idea. And then when we go to the game and we're about to win, it's like, I want to play for you because you're so freaking weird, or you're a freak. I want to play for you. And so it's awesome. And I wanted to touch on that point because that point's really important to know of why I did that. And And it was beautiful to see guys buy in and trust. And then when I stayed at Fusion, then Marley started emerging as a captain. Then Logan started being a captain. And now Logan's in FC Dallas. Marley's probably going to be in the draft. So it's cool how all of that happens. And, yeah, I forgot what the question you asked. So you can go ahead and ask it again. Sorry.
No. It was just that's great, by the way. But and thanks for sharing all those things. And, I mean, you basically, in doing that, you're crafting and creating leaders out of that, which is pretty cool. But we'll touch on that. But just your background, your upbringing, your childhood, how soccer started for you. Take us into Gio as a young player, and what was soccer like for you back in the day?
Yeah, time flies. But yeah, I started when I was 3, and I always say that's what I say because that's what my parents told me. I don't remember me starting soccer when I was 3. And then I had 2 older brothers, Nikolai and Joshua, who are 29, 28. They played soccer their whole life. They played in college together at Iona. They represented Puerto Rico internationally. And when I first started playing soccer, I loved it. I loved going to the field, but I never liked training on my own. So I would come home, and my brothers would be like, you have to juggle. And then this is around, like, age 11 now. And I'm like, no. And then it got to a point where, like, my dad locked me out of the house. I remember one night he locked me out of the house, and I was just crying on my doorstep with my soccer ball. And it was, like, that point of, like, it wasn't mean for my dad. He just wanted me to go train. But that point after I, like, got the soccer ball, I started juggling, and the next day I could juggle more. And that kind of lit a spark in me to start training on my own. My brothers always pushed me. They're always in my ear. So that helped a lot, and that kind of cultivated me as a soccer player because I got to see what not to do off the field and what to do off the field, and those things matter so much to become a really good soccer player. I was put in academy systems my whole life, so I started at a club called Oakwood. Then I went to FC Westchester, then Beachside, then DC United, New York City, then to all these teams. And I kind of followed the footsteps of my brothers of their past teams, but they stayed at one club for a while. I kind of just jumped around. And so that's really how it started for me. And I've never tried any other sport. That was the sport that I fell in love with right away. It was like Gio's going to be a soccer player. And then my 2 older brothers, they wanted to make it really, really bad. And I guess now they could live vicariously through me if they want for right now. And they're happy that it's all worked out, but that's kind of the journey, how it started.
A lot of people look down upon switching clubs a lot, and it's almost looked at as like being a traitor or just like disrespectful towards a coach. What was your reason to be hopping around from club to club?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, I have gotten that before from coaches, never from players, because when I've joined those environments, the players are loved. They could feel my love for them. But I could care less what anybody else thinks. It doesn't matter. All that is so wasted energy. I don't know how somebody could even imagine you were jumping around every club, or Dre was hopping around at every club, and I was like, look at this dude, club hopper. Like, what are you spending your energy on? A coach to do that? That makes no sense. Yeah. And so the reason I did it, my brothers never did it, and I was like Antonio. I don't know you so well, Dre, right now, but I was like Antonio. I had like a killer mindset. I was like, I'm gonna find a club.
This guy's a killer. Killer.
He will literally. He's crazy. And so I literally would go find. I would go find a club, and I'd be like, I'm gonna be a captain. I'm gonna kill it, and then I'm gonna go. And I'm gonna get to a better club. And so every single time it used to be DA, the Development Academy. And I would look at the rankings, and I'd be like, my team's going to be here. And then we made playoffs, and then I was like, okay, now it's time for me to go to an MLS team, and I need to challenge myself. So I went to an MLS team, and then I went to boarding school when I was 14, and I said, I'm going to do something that nobody's done. And everybody's like, Gio, you're so young. Don't do it. You're not ready yet. And I said, well, when is the right time to be ready? If anything, I'm going to go now. I'm going to try it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I need to go test out that opportunity. I tested it out. It was a really, really good opportunity, and it was a hard one. I was playing U17. I was 14, 15 at DC United, and it was really difficult. I had days when I would come home and I would be so stressed out, and I got through it. And, it's just a little bit of short period of time. And then I went to New York City, and then I could have went back to DC United, but I decided to go to New York City FC.
How old were you at this point?
I am...
How old were you at that point?
16 or 17.
16.
Yeah, I want to
Okay.
say 16.
Okay.
And I'm making these decisions on my own.
Okay.
Because
Interesting.
my parents never brought my older brothers to MLS Academy. So they're like, Gio, should we do this or no? And I'm like, it doesn't cost you anything. It's not costing you to go play for New York City. MLS clubs are free. So let me go. So then and my dad would drive me 2 hours of training, 2 hours back, 4-hour days after work, and he would make the sacrifice. My mom would be cooking, cleaning, making sure when I came home, I'd have something to eat. If I'm ranting too much, let me know.
I love it, dude, because I connect with that so well.
Yeah.
That's so well. The sacrifice of parents is just, it's not, at that age, did you see the sacrifice your parents were making as like, did you see it and feel it? Or did you start to feel it a little bit more when you were older and reflecting back on that journey you had through that time when you were 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and now making your decision on where you're going to go to college?
Yeah, I think I still see it, but I don't feel it yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'll feel it when I have my own kid and he wants to do that. So I definitely don't feel it yet. But I see it. I see what they did and I appreciate it and I love them. Shout out. But do I feel it? Yeah, I could say I feel it, but I don't. And it's going to hit different when I have my own kid and he wants to go play soccer. So we'll see when that happens, and then I'll come back and answer the question again.
Yeah.
But the reason why I went into all those details, and there's still more, is because club hopper, you would not have any of those experiences if you didn't go to all these different clubs. So whenever I talk to kids, I'm like, go to these different clubs, experience different coaches at that age. Because when you get to college, it's 4 years, same coach. Or you could transfer, but I don't really agree with the transferring at that point. That's your young child free side where you could do whatever you want, and it ended up working out for me. So everyone has a different journey, and I definitely wouldn't be the captain, the person I am, leader I am, without any of those clubs or any of those experiences.
Yeah, I think you're pointing out some really interesting things because there is a stigma right now in the college game, at least, of oh, man, all these guys just think they can, bounce around these teams if they don't get to play or they don't get what they want. So there's this kind of diva attitude towards these college players. It's like, hey, if I don't play, I'm out. Not I'm going to dig in and see it through and find a way to win. So there's that, right? Then there's what you're talking about where you kind of get to travel and see different clubs and grow as a person and a player. So, you've played for the Puerto Rican national team because of your heritage, grew up in Connecticut, New York. Right there, you've already mentioned 3 or 4 cities, DC, New York. I met you in Ventura County, right? California, right? You went to Fullerton. So it's through going to these different clubs, you've almost developed as a leader. And I think good leaders need to see different people at work, different areas, teams, managers, all these things. So I don't know. I think that there's good in both, right? Staying with a team for a long period of time.
Yeah, there is.
There's also situations where it's probably not the best idea to stay at a club or a team. And sometimes those situations are difficult, right? And you might be letting some people down. And they might not be happy about it. But at the end of the day, if in your gut you don't feel like it's the right situation for you, you have to listen to your gut. And I guess that leads me to my next question. What do you think about all of the expectations placed on these young players? Let's talk about the club system right now. At AFC, we work with hundreds of young players who are being crafted as people and as human beings and players. And they have a lot of expectations, not just from the clubs, but from their parents, from outside forces. What do you think about the club system, and should these young kids be bouncing around? How do you view it? What do you think about the club system, and more so, I guess, the expectations that are placed on these young players at such an early age?
Yeah, I'll go to the expectations part first because that's what I have knowledge on.
Mm-hmm.
For the expectations placed on young players, I think it's really good. I think it's really good because they have a goal, and they have a result that they're trying to achieve. But if the expectations become excessive or become too unrealistic that the kid doesn't even think that he could achieve it, then his drive's not going to be there to attack the day every day. So what I would do if I was a parent is I would go to that child and I would probably spend time with him, with my own kid or myself, and I would set my own expectations and say, you're never going to meet someone else's expectations. Never. At least that's what I think. And so I rather create my own expectations, go meet them. It's not that you're making any less, but you know yourself better than he does. And so you set your own expectations, and then you meet them. And then once you meet them, you set your next 3 expectations, and you keep furthering down the line like that. But I think it's like a bit like running a business or creating a business. You're either going to work for somebody else or you're going to do it your own. And if you're going to do it your own way, you know how to do it your own way, and you know which ways you're going to try to do that. And you might fail, but we all fail. So that's like my take on that part. And with the club system, I think that I just don't like the pay to play because there's a lot of players who can't afford it and they can't pay to play soccer. And so that's a sad part. But we're not going to be able to change that right now. So you train as hard as you can and you give it all you got and you do your absolute best. And then you get to an MLS academy and you make sure you get that thing free for your parents, or the parents invest and they say, we're going to get it back in college when he gets a full ride. And that's how my parents were. They said, we were going to invest in Gio, we're going to invest in him. And then in college, we're not going to pay. And then we got to college and they barely paid. And so there's so many different routes to go through it. But main thing, the pay to play, I don't think that should happen. Yeah.
That's really interesting. For me, bouncing back to you being a young player and making that decision to go to a residency academy, was there any thoughts in your mind that could relate to maybe someone in your exact shoes that you were at in that time that you had maybe like that you could give advice to, like being scared or not knowing the future or how it's going to be or what to expect? Do you remember any thoughts you had within that exact time that you were kind of like hesitant maybe or you wanted to go all in, or like what was your thought in that process?
That's a tough question because in that I'm playing for DC United. Let's go. I'm like, this is amazing. This is my break. I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna be homegrown. I'm gonna sign. I mean, that's how I was. And so maybe if somebody could come in and make it realistic for me and say, Gio, not everybody makes it homegrown, but you could have told me that at that age, and I'd be like, stop. You didn't do it. It's just because you didn't do it. And right. I probably would have did that. But if I could have the clarity that I have now, I would have still done it, but I would have been better prepared. But I wish somebody told me, like, your feelings are going to get hurt. You're going to learn a lot about feelings. But to grasp that at, like, 14, 15, that's really hard. And maybe I wouldn't want that because I was able to be so free like a child and just say, let's go. Like, this is awesome. And I went in, moved away from home, didn't see my family for like a year, and said, I'm just going to go. If I had all the realism, I think, maybe I would have been afraid to even go. And I would have said, I have no support.
You know, I always think there has to be a little bit of healthy delusion, though, to do something.
Such a good point.
You know, like a little
What do you mean?
dose of healthy delusion and oblivion to what it might take or what you're getting yourself into. Because if you knew the amount of pain and struggle and effort and energy, you name the word, that it would require to be successful before you started, you'd be like, why the hell would I do that? Why would I go down that path? That just is like pure pain. But that's on the other side of all that is what everyone wants. Everyone wants what's on the other side of pushing themselves through pain and struggle to get what they want. It's a very basic thing, but I think we're human beings. We want to go away from pain. We want to go to comfort. But I feel like as an athlete, you have to, especially in your situation where you are so ambitious and you want to go grab that next opportunity, there's got to be a part of you that's like, no matter what, I'm going to do it. And that a little bit of a dose of, delusion? A healthy dose of delusion.
That's so good. I love that, actually.
You got to be a little bit delusional to think you, of all people, can do it.
Yeah.
But why not me? Why not you? Why not you? Like, that's how you got to where you got. That's how you got to where you are, and where you're going to continue to go. So it's like,
when you put that into words, it's just like, I'm delusional.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
But it's good.
But then it's like, what's the role of a coach who sees a player who's gung-ho on doing something like that? Because as a coach, you can see the players that have that and don't, just naturally. So I think, since I've started coaching, it's almost an obligation to pick those guys out and gals out and say, hey, I see that attitude. I see your grind and your drive, and I'm going to foster that, and I'm going to build you up and basically flex that muscle. Because if someone's delusional enough to go try to achieve success, then they're going to need all the help they can get. So if you're in a position of support or coaching, why would you not give all you can to help them do that,
Yeah, and even if they don't accomplish that goal,
yeah, right?
that will carry so much into life. And so it's going to work out.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of what profession is it going to work out in.
Right. So I guess that's kind of what we preach at AFC. It's like we teach those life skills on and off the field. And I mean, you were out there today. Before this podcast, we had Gio out for an 8:00 session. Coach Dre took him through one, and it was great. Like, you saw kind of like what we do, and we're teaching the kids skills that they're going to be able to apply as a player, and then after they play, whatever they do.
Yeah, can you guys go into like the AFC, what it means, and the acronym for it?
Yeah, so AFC means ambition, foundation, creation. And our motto is it's more than just the training. So within every single kid, we want to make sure they have ambition to dream for any single goal they have, no matter what. And we'll be there to support them 100%. Their foundation within being a normal soccer player and being a disciplined person. So I feel like that's very, very it's not looked down upon, but it's not implemented into a lot of kids' lives, especially where we're at here in Orange County. That's where I personally feel like is lacking. That foundation of discipline, that foundation of being a great player within technique, within how to handle emotions, because soccer's a game of emotions. You know what I mean? And emotions carry you through life as well. So it's how are you able to control those emotions and all that stuff. And then creation. Like, you even saw it today with like the music, the vibe we have, all that stuff. We're trying to create something where kids come in and they're like, I feel like a pro today. I come in and I see the same balls, I see the poles, I see the mannequins, and we're creating that environment for them to step in and just be like, man, I feel pro. I'm training hard. I have this dream that I have, college, become a great person, pro, all this stuff. And we're creating that environment for them, and we want them to feel like they can create anything themselves. So those are that little acronym comes from, and it's more than just the training. I mean, I know you agree with how soccer's implemented way more than just the game, but life lessons as well. And we take a lot of pride in giving those life lessons during a session where maybe they're just struggling or it wasn't their day and all that different type of stuff. And we just got to be there to give them that little voice of like, it's okay. You're here for an hour, bust your butt, and life goes on. Like you said in your podcast, I think that was my favorite part. Life isn't so serious. Life isn't so serious. And
yeah.
And explain more about that and your view on that, because I honestly feel that was such a good point. I've never looked at it like that. Like I live every day, and I know you do too, is like this, that, oh, this, that, and I'm just like, I'm consumed by this. But then you said that, and I look back and I'm like, you're right. Life isn't so serious. I should enjoy each second of what I'm doing, even if sometimes it's really, really hard, really, really tough. Maybe I had a bad training, or I got an F on my test. You know what I mean? That's completely normal. It happens all the time. And I get it down on myself. People get down on themselves, and like life isn't so serious. So I want you to go in a little bit to that, because that was like, I was like, man, I needed that.
Yeah. To the AFC, I wanted to go into that point because I felt it all today. But the foundation part is what really like kept me in it. That's my favorite part, because I remember beachside. Why I tuck in my shirt still today is because of them.
Right.
And so the foundation part is what I can really relate to, because I could care less what anybody else. Oh, he has a shirt. He's not cool. He's not drippy. I don't care. I don't care. It's just really, it teaches that self-discipline, and I think that at AFC you can, the way you're doing it, you're on the right path, and I'm excited to see how those kids, once they grow maybe 5 more years or 4 more years, what things you guys are going to see and say, I was a part of that journey. And so it's kind of cool. So I wanted to mention that, and with beachside. But the life isn't so serious part. I think of it as in terms of whatever you're going through, whatever I'm going through, my emotions, like what you said, someone's already gone through it, and you're not alone. And so it's not so serious. Like, you're not in a midlife crisis, because there's a million other people going through the same thing. And maybe you could find some of those people and you could share that with, if it's bad things, if it's trauma, if it's great things, you could share all those things with certain people that will cross into your life. And so that's my life isn't so serious thing. It's pretty simple. Someone's already done it. It's okay. Yeah.
I love it. Awesome. Well, I want to tap in a little bit more into your playing career in college. And I know your freshman year, you were at the Naval Academy. Mm-hmm. And just hearing that, I'm like, dude, this guy's definitely got some sort of traits from being a leader from that time of your life, and how disciplined you are as well with what you do, and how it was like how you explained yourself on the podcast. Can you go in to a little bit of depth of just how it was, your experience, your first year at the Naval Academy?
Yeah, so I stayed there for a bit of time, and it was an experience unlike any other. I was there for plebe summer, so all the guys who maybe watch this episode, they'll definitely understand. But you're basically breaking every habit that you've ever had, and you break it so instant. You have people yelling on your doors. You have people banging on your walls. You don't eat when you want to eat. You don't even know when lunch is or dinner is. It is at the same time every day. But when you don't have your phone, you don't have any electronics, you're just being told what to do, then the day could become so taxing at times, and you're like, when is food gonna come? And that's just one example. There's so many funny things that I did at the Naval Academy, and one of them was time hacks, and it was really important. Time hacks to get out of bed, to make your bed, to finish eating, a timer for when you're done, timer to eat your food, a timer to go to bed by, or be in your bed. And so I could go into all of them, but there's so many, and the way that they really broke down my barriers showed to me kind of how elite our minds are and our bodies are. Like, I was put through strenuous activities, more than we could put ourselves through, unless you have some kind of mentality where you can. I think even past David Goggins' mentality at some point, they could put you in an environment and make you do that. And you might be like, I can't do it. And your body will do it, but you'll only do it because you have 15 other people doing it with you. And so you really learn what a team is there. And if you're all going through hell together, you all are going through hell together. And it makes a team that much stronger. And because when the good times come, you really appreciate them, and you're never alone. And so that's a little bit of the Naval Academy. It was unreal experience. When plebe summer ended, then you had very hard classes. You had soccer. You also had military training. And all those things combined make a day very taxing, exhausting. But what kind of made me go to the Naval Academy was my dad. He didn't want me to go. He was a Marine, and so my parents didn't want me to go because they were like, Gio, life's so short over there. But I could feel that, right? Like as we were talking about, I could feel why life's so short. You know, it's the military. But I didn't really I could see it, but I didn't really feel it till I was there. So I got in the environment, and one story that always stuck with me is they had like a wall with a white marble wall. It was beautiful. And they were like, names are gonna come on this wall. And I was like, guys, why? I went to a friend. I remember I was like, what are they talking about? What do you mean like a name's gonna pop up? They're like, someone's gonna die and a name's gonna be on the wall. And I was like, okay. So then time went on, and nobody that I knew, I knew, I just wasn't friends with their name, just went on the wall. And so I remember that classmates in the Naval Academy, there's only 4,000 or 5,000. And you'd be like, people are gonna die, and maybe that's because of an accident or because of a conflict that they had. And so when you see that, you realize life's so short. And then at that moment, I said, I'm either gonna chase soccer full throttle, or I'm gonna do the military and be half and half. And I was like, I need to go full throttle into it. And so I left the Naval Academy, and that's what really triggered the move. And I said, I'm gonna go after it. And so now that's what I've been doing.
So then after the Naval Academy, you went to
Fullerton.
So Fusion.
Fusion, yeah.
That summer, and then Fullerton. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. What was the landing in LA like? Your first taste of Ventura County, LA. I
was licking my lips. I was like, oh man, this is paradise. I was like, here we go.
Right.
And I got to Fullerton in the spring semester. And I was trying to be captain, and I said I was on my recruiting call, and they were like, Gio, well, you can come here and be a leader, but every coach is so good at selling. And I said, listen, if I'm in this transfer portal, I'm not getting sold. I already know what it is. You just tell me what it is, the money, the situation, and we'll make it work. And if you want to talk any bluffer amongst that, I don't care. I already been through that when I was 18, and I know how the game plays. So Fullerton told me, and then I went in, and I said, I'm going to try it out. And I never visited Fullerton. I came to California, and they didn't play games. And they were like, Gio, the spot's here. And I remember my head coach, he had like a firm phone call with me and my father, and he was a great coach, so honest. And I was like, okay, there are the rules. Let's try it. So I went ahead, and when I tried being captain, tried implementing my style, it was different than what it is now. And I was getting a lot of pushback from the guys, and I was like, okay. And I kind of anticipated it. It was a different environment than the Naval Academy, right? Naval Academy doesn't have as many diverse individuals, meaning that there's mostly Caucasian males there. Some African Americans there. There were only 2 Hispanics at my time there. In Fullerton, it was like 15 Hispanics, like 2 Caucasian males. It was pretty different. 2 African Americans. So it was different than the Naval Academy, and those kids went through more pain, more trauma, more hardships than anybody did at the Naval Academy, or anybody did in Connecticut in the East Coast. And so it was a different way of leading, and I had to get them on board. And it was very difficult. And so that entire spring semester, I ended up getting them on board by the end of the spring semester, beginning of the fall. And so at the end of the spring, I got invited to Fusion. And
wait a second, but how did you do that? Is that where like leading with love was born? Or tell me how you come into a new environment and clearly you're dealing with a different group. And what was that thing in your mind that clicked and said, okay, this is how I have to go about trying to lead this group? What was like that moment that you won them over, or you started to gain their trust as a leader, and people started to look at you and say, you know what? I like that Gio. He's a good guy. I want to play behind him. I want to have him lead this team. I
think people... That's a hard question.
Great
To
question.
pinpoint it exactly, I started starting every game, and it started there, getting respect on the field. Everyone can talk. Everyone could talk, be whoever they are. Some people would think that I could do it for the coaches. Some people thought I'd do it for the team, but talking is just talking. So I ended up proving myself on the field. Then I earned a starting spot. And then at that point, some players give up. And they're like, this guy's talking, he's doing good on the field. And that's just what happens. And then some players just didn't like me because of whatever reason. Maybe because I won the spot. That's fine. And then time went on a little bit more, and then I started being the coach started seeing me as the captain. And so, but before that, really to get into it, it was just showing and not telling. It's pretty simple. I was just showing, not telling. I don't want to sound cliche, but that's really what it was. If I'm going to gain your trust, I better be the first one in the locker room, the last one out. I remember we were doing sprints, and we were doing, I think maybe stadiums, but we were doing sprints around the field. And I forgot what they called the fitness drill, but it's like English where you run the long ways, diagonal, kind of like a box. And we were doing it, and I was in front, and I was like, I need to win this. So I was in the front running, and I was winning. And I saw a guy all the way in the back. And I thought to myself, I said, do I drop? And this is my Navy mentality where it came in. I was like, do I drop and don't go first anymore and just start walking with this guy and empower him to start jogging more? And I stopped. And I literally jogged, and I'm still trying to earn my spot. And I jogged to the back of the line, and I started jogging with him. I was like, come on. I was like, let's go. Like, let's catch up to them. And he's like, Gio, I can't. And nobody else dropped back because nobody else cared about somebody in last place. So I dropped back, and then I was with him, and then that kind of gained respect from the team. They were like, oh, Gio cares about us. Like, he doesn't want us to be left alone. And so I think that was a moment where I showed a lot. And also I had this desire, this passion that I want to win. I want to win so bad. Because Fullerton, the year before I came, they were 1-7. 1-7-1. So people were like, Gio, you're going to go to Fullerton? Like, they only won one game. And I'm like, I'm going to help change that thing. And I came, and all those guys were already down. So maybe I don't know for certain right now, but maybe they were looking for something of hope, because you get to the spring, it's supposed to be partying. You're supposed to be, such a relief from what a terrible fall season. But then I came in, I was like, we're going to win. We're going to win at Fullerton. And guys started believing in that. And I'd say it was this aura, this energy, and giving guys time, like giving them time. Not just looking past who they are, seeing them as a low-income person who comes to Fullerton and loses and comes from a negative background. That's no longer going to be the image of Fullerton. It's like that's not what happened. We win at this institution. And, yeah, I know that's not really the details inside, but I would say the show not telling, those are some examples of how it happened. And then by the end of the spring, I went to the games as kind of a captain. They didn't give me the armband, but I was the captain. And one of the senior players on the team, Sebastian Cruz, who plays for Sporting Kansas City, we started getting closer, and we started liking each other. So that relationship being shown to the team, that kind of helped me as well. And then the fall solidified it when the coaches gave me the captain band before the season. And by that time, everybody wanted to jump on board. But actually, I have one more detail. In the spring, there was a moment where my coach was like, Gio, I don't want you running the warm-ups anymore. I don't want you doing it anymore. And I was like kind of confused because I've been doing it. And he was like, yeah, I don't want you to do it anymore right now. And he said it in front of the whole team. I was like, okay. All right. And I started laughing because I was like, dude, who else is going to do it right now? And I started laughing. And then he's like, Lalo, go do it. And Lalo, one of my greatest friends, such a good player. And I was like, Lalo, lead the team. Like, go ahead. And he was like, Gio, no. He's like, you're the captain. You're going to do it. And that was the first time where I really heard it from somebody. And he probably doesn't even know how much that moment meant to me. But it was like a coach is telling you, hey, lead the team. A person could be like, oh, this is my opportunity. This is my go. And he's like, no, Gio, you've been doing a great job. You finished the warm. And I did it, and I didn't listen to the coach, and I kept doing it. And I might have got backlash, but that was a moment where I really appreciate, because Lalo was a senior player on the team. I have a ton of respect for him, and that really helped me kind of hone it even more. So, yeah, sorry for the long answer.
Oh, I love it. That was awesome. So explain, that was your sophomore year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Sophomore year. So explain how kind of your last 2 years went at Fullerton.
Oh.
Because you guys...
So this, I guess one detail I wanted to put in here.
Yeah, please.
Is that, so everything he just said, that spring and the summer and everything, he was a sophomore.
I know. That was like, I was
still
blown
what?
away.
I mean, you're 22 right now, right?
You're 20?
I was 20.
So, 20-year-old having that mindset. Very infectious, very impressive. And I guess even when I met you at Fusion, I thought you were way older, And I'm thinking, this guy is a center back, tucked in shirt, militant, disciplined, bringing everybody together. I mean, I played with Fusion in 2019. We had a great team then as well, a lot of good guys. So, we come back into the summer in 2022, and I'm fired up for the season. I'm like, at that point, just absolutely dialed, And here comes this guy, this center back, just absolutely dialed as well. And I'm like, wow, this is going to be a good season. We're going to have a good season. And sure enough, like just the amount of professionalism you brought made me think, as someone who was on that same sort of disciplined professionalism, cross my T's, dot my I's every second. Like I was like, okay, that's like, he must be, senior player, about to get drafted. And then I found out you were 20, and I'm like, oh, Jesus. Like I feel old. I'm like, thank God for the future, dude, because you just were kicking butt, And so, that's
funny,
but
such
this guy,
this
guy, huh?
I mean, that was kind
You're
of like,
awesome.
But that's the presence someone like you brings in. Like even right when I met you, like literally, like you getting in the car today, us having our first talk, like even at the reset when we started talking there a little bit, like I was like, bro, this guy's wired different, not gonna lie. Like you can just sense that from people, you know what I mean? And it's really, really obvious.
Yeah,
and I couldn't imagine having someone like that walk into an environment. Well, I mean, we're the same age, but like at 20 years old and change a Division I program like that and to gain respect from seniors. Because I think, like for me playing, I played at a D2 level, and it wasn't really like it's a very culture environment that people are there. Like we talked about it, people are there to kind of like have a good time, enjoy. They know maybe soccer isn't going to be in the future, but like at the D1 level, everyone's competing against themselves. And for someone to come in and make that change and be that leader is really, really impressive, especially at your age. So, I mean, I guess that like started you off into your junior year and then senior year, right?
Yeah. The junior, senior year were great. They were great years. Junior year we ended up, I think we went 8-6-5, so we got to winning record. We didn't make the Big West playoffs. That was really disappointing, and it was sad to see the seniors go. But we made improvement from 1-7, 1-7-1, and then my junior year. My junior year. No, that was sophomore, junior. Yeah, my junior year, then we win the conference. And we win the regular season. I'm thinking I'm a senior that just played. I wasn't a senior.
No, yeah.
So I was a junior, and we won the regular season, and then we brought a trophy in the locker room, and some people didn't think that it was a big deal. But I was like, here we go. We're getting back on track. Like, this was the goal. And so we went 12-5-3. And now I can't wait to see Fullerton win the Big West. And it's in perfect alignment. And so, the way it just I wanted to say enveloped. I'm not even sure if that's even a thing. But the way it all opened up through my journey at Fullerton, it was pretty awesome. And then winning individual awards, that was always cool.
What individual awards did you win?
Defensive Player of the Year, all first team. And it was like, wow, like this worked out. This was a fusion, winning national championship, being captain there, and then Defensive Player of the Year. It's like I couldn't believe that I was the first men's soccer player to win that award for Fullerton. And it's like this all just came together. And now senior year, go professional, and it's like I'm not even going to play my last season. And so it's just so fascinating, like how it all works out, and you got to give thanks to God, and that's how it works. And because that journey, you know, I can't make that all up on my own, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
So you forego the last year at Fullerton, and then did you go right to the Revs? Or no, it was Hartford, right? Or
No. So Hartford was before college.
oh, right. Okay, so you're at Fullerton. Where's that first team, that first pro team you go to?
So I go in the draft
This was last
December.
2023 fall.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah,
And
December.
I'm in the draft rules change. You no longer declare yourself for the draft. I guess somebody puts you in. I still don't know till this day who puts you in. Maybe it's the club. But yeah, so I go in. So I'm in the draft, and I find out like 2 days before that I'm in the draft. I'm like, oh, I'm in the draft this year, and then I was like, oh, I'm not gonna get picked because I didn't even know. I didn't even prepare for this. Whatever. Didn't end up getting picked, but then it brought so much publicity to me. It's like, oh, national team player in the draft, just won Defensive Player of the Year, first team. So then Oakland Roots of the USL Championship and LAFC bring me in on trial. So I go in, I train with them in the beginning of the spring semester while I'm still at Fullerton. I trained my butt off, and then I came back to Fullerton, finished training. They're like, we're going to keep eyes on you for the draft next year. You still have another year. So then I was like, okay. And then during the summer, I'm playing with Ventura again. And this time we win the league. We win the division. We didn't do that before. So we won the division this year. And then that was the goal of mine. I was like, I want to win the division. I was like, I want to win the Southwest Division. Ventura hasn't done it in, I don't know, probably like 3 years, 4 years. I certainly haven't. And I said, we already did a national championship. Let's win the division. So we ended up getting to it. We won the division. I wasn't able to be there to close out the games.
This was this summer, correct?
This was this past summer. Okay. And then Revolution called me in the middle of that. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a flight. I played 2 games in Arizona with Fusion. Fusion drove me to the airport.
Yep.
And they said, Gio, have a blast. Go over there. I went. Fullerton let me go as well. And then within 2-3 days, they offered me a contract. And I was like, this is what I've been waiting for. I'm going to graduate college. I'm not going to be a college dropout. So I was like, if I do this, I'm going to finish college and I'm going to be pro. So then I never wanted to not take the opportunity, because if I would have got injured in my senior year season and then I don't have a team, I would be so heartbroken.
Yeah, you're kicking yourself at that point, right?
Yeah, so that's how my mentality was. And I said, I'm going to attack it and do this full throttle. I don't know what the circumstances, but I just got offered a contract. I got to take it by the horns. And then I did that. And it was a great opportunity. And that's how that came in. Yeah.
How was your experience? Well, you played in the MLS academies, but being in that environment, getting a contract, knowing all these years of work on your own time with teams, with coaches, all these different types of things, now kind of you got a taste of it. You know what I mean? How did that feel, knowing in that moment that you were like, all right, I'm here now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it was a realization point. It was like, wow, I signed my first pro contract. That's great. And we as people, even I bet Antonio's like this and you're like this as well. It's just, it becomes to a point where it's just never enough. And you get to that point and you're like, okay, I got it. But man, there's so much work to be done. Now it's like, can I be captain of this team? Can I try to do that? And then it's like, oh my God, I'm playing second team right now. Can I get to at first division MLS? And that freaking train can drive you crazy. And so I kind of settled there, and I said, I'm going to keep giving it my best. I want those things to happen. But I want to stay present in the moment and soak it in. Like, okay, all that work, all the hard work that I did, it paid off to sign a pro contract. Not a lot of people can do it, not even a second division deal. Not a lot of people can do it. So I was grateful, honored, happy, thankful that I got that opportunity, and I kind of like relished in it. And then all the surplus things that came from it, they came, and I was really happy with them too.
What was the biggest challenge or thing you did not expect within stepping into that pro environment?
That's a great question. I'd say I didn't expect how professional Revolution was. They have everything that you need to do to be a professional. You know, I'm.
Can you explain your daily routine that you had there?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I woke up at 7 a.m., 6:30 sometimes. I had a teammate from Puerto Rico who was playing at Revolution, Kobe.
That's awesome, man.
He was great guy. Shout out to Kobe. And then lived with him, and we would go to training together, eat breakfast at the facility, spend time with the guys, get treatments, I would read every morning. So I'd bring my Bible, and I'd read the Bible. I'd bring my journal, and I started reading a book, A Little Life, and I was reading Crazy Love by Francis Chan, and that was also biblical book. And so I'm a big reader, so I started reading a lot, probably 40 minutes every morning at Revolution. I get there early before everybody came, and then I'd go to the treatment room, have breakfast, go to training, finish training, come back. I'm still a college student, still taking 6 classes to graduate. So I bring my computer, I go in the room, and I start doing homework assignments. There till 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, leave. Ask a friend, Kobe or somebody else, hey, you want to go to Barnes & Noble, drink coffee, and do more homework? Nothing else to do in the evening, and just grinding out school. And that was pretty much my day. Sometimes we'd go for a second session, a gym session in the evening. And that was my day as a pro, yeah.
That's awesome.
What did reading do for you?
Oh, man.
It's
a can of worms.
Is it the discipline of reading, or is it that mental stimulation that, I don't know, what is it? Or you just love to read, or what? Take me through that. Because I have like a similar philosophy with reading, but I wanted to know how you look at it.
Oh, man. Reading's amazing, man. It's the best thing ever. It's so good. It's so good.
Why?
I think that it was, I never had a word for it, but then I heard Billie Eilish one day say cathartic, and so I looked up the word, and I was like,
Jesus
oh my
Christ.
God. I was like, reading is so cathartic for me. I was like, it gives me this psychological relief when I'm reading, and I'm like,
God, that's interesting.
I got so into it because I said, man, like, I get deep, and my thoughts just keep on going and going, and any like pain or struggle or feeling that I just couldn't get over, there's a 200-page book written about it. And I'm like, you're not alone, Gio. Just pick up the book and read it. And when I would read it, I'd be like, how does this author know me so well? And I would read it, and I'm like, this is what I'm talking about.
Oh my God.
And
this is really entertaining right now, honestly.
I'd get such a relief, and it would be so great. And that's really why reading is so amazing for me.
It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you always love reading?
No. I had to get down and say, I'm going to start my reading journey. And I had to be a disciplined reader. I started reading. I'd do the yawns. Then I'd go to bed. I'd be like, screw that. And then the next day, I'd be like, I'm going to read 10 pages. And I read 10 pages. I'm like, oh, it's getting pretty interesting at 10. I'm going to go to 11. And it just kept going and going. And then I said, oh, my God, I love reading. So that's kind of how it was for me.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I mean, I started consistently reading when I was at Creighton. And I don't even know why we're talking about reading, but it's interesting.
I think it's So good.
No, because for me, like I was a guy who would work really hard, but then when I wasn't achieving what I wanted to achieve, I had to really look at myself and say, where are the areas that I'm lacking? Where am I not working hard enough? Or what's the thing that's not working here so I can get what I want or achieve what I want to achieve?
Yes.
So for me, I was looking at any area in my life where I could add a layer of discipline. And it comes back to discipline. I mean, layered in everything, your story is just a discipline of I'm going to do this and this is how it's going to be. Or I have the discipline to stay back and fall back with that guy who's walking. Or I have the discipline to tuck in my shirt every time. Or I have the discipline to continue to work hard no matter what. So for me, I'm like, I got to have something every day that I do that just proves to myself that I can hold up that word to myself. Forget anybody else, that I can do it for myself. So for me, that started with 10 pages. And I read it in a book. So I was reading a book about this concept. And then the book taught me how to do this, where you read 10 pages a day and you don't read past 10 pages. You don't say, oh, I'm feeling really good today. I'm going to read 20. Because guess what? The next day, you're going to probably be like, oh, I read 20 yesterday. I can take it off today. I can do 10 tomorrow.
That's so true.
All of these negotiations we have with ourselves, it's not good, right? So for me, it was like 10 pages a day, no matter what. If I feel great, I'm going to stop it at 10. If I feel terrible, I'm going to grind it through to get to 10. And I did it consistently every day. And then all of a sudden, I was flying through books, and I could never do that. I would always go 20 pages, and I'd throw it out. I'm like, oh, this is not working. So all of a sudden, I started flying through books. And I'm like, wait a second, I feel better. I feel like I'm being consistent with something. And that led into being better on the field, being better in classes. I felt more confident. I felt like my brain was learning things. I was getting smarter, wiser, whatever. So then I did the math, and it's like 10 pages a day for 365 days is 3,650 pages of information, business books, mindset books, whatever. So now, after 1 year, you are now 8 books smarter than you were the year before. What kind of opportunities is that person getting? What type of mindset does that person have? What type of things is that person able to accomplish when they put those things in? So then it just taught me about discipline, daily habits, compound interest with life, with your relationships, with your finances, with all these things that just blew my mind open, wide open. So I take that mindset into everything I do. And it's really funny that you brought that up about reading, because it's like that sounds like the stupidest thing, just reading, but it changed my life. I'm not even gonna lie. So no, I don't know. We can like go on to a new topic.
No, I love it because I'm a psychology major, and we always talk about how thoughts influence your behaviors and behaviors influence your actions. And with the thought, so me, I've had a struggle with reading, and the thought of reading, I would always tell myself, oh, I'm gonna read. But it never influenced my actions, which never changed my behavior until I really thought of behaviors and thoughts. If I just change my behavior now and I just make sure I have a book on my bed, so when I leave my house, I don't get home till like late at night. I put the book on my bed. So I can't go to bed until I grab my book off my bed and I sit down at my desk and I read. That's what changed it. So that was the behavior that now changed my thought, that changed my actions. So I don't like reading. I have to force myself to read. But I get so much out of reading that it helps me in life, and it helps my actions as a person, as a coach, as a boyfriend, as a son, as a friend to other people, because I know I'm helping myself out. That will one day, hopefully, at the time where the book I'm reading helps someone else out, because that's the business we're in, is helping kids. And if we don't have the knowledge to help a kid in a situation with things that we should have knowledge of, it's like really like that. That scares me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. And it's also, and at the same time, it's really not about the reading. Sometimes it's about, I'm holding myself accountable to this. Mm-hmm. How can I expect an 8-year-old to hold his or herself accountable when I can't even say, okay, I'm going to do my 10 pages. Oh, I didn't do it today. Mm-hmm. Well, you should, you should be able to hold yourself accountable and walk the walk, and not just talk about this and not live it. So I think that's very important too. You should ask yourself who you're getting your information from and who you're listening to. And if they don't walk the walk, then maybe change your source of information, because I think, I don't know, it's always better to do that. But you said something that I wanted to touch on, but I losing it.
I wanted to mention that I think it's so interesting first how us three, you know, he puts a book on his bed. You read no more than 10 pages, and I do something different. And so it's funny how that's what makes it so fascinating.
Yeah.
That we all have a different mechanism for how we read, but we all get it done. And something works for each person and won't work for the other person. And so
some people got their Kindle out. Some people are, you know,
audiobook. I'm a big audiobook person too. Yeah.
For me, I'm like, how can you do an audiobook and not annotate? I'm like,
so that's what I do, because I'm a very slow reader. I go I stutter a lot, so I put the audiobook on and I read as the audiobook goes, and I try and make it like a little bit faster. But when I really get to a point that I love, pause the audiobook, and then I have Post-it notes, and I leave Post-it notes inside of the book in specific places, because I know I'm not going to get a lot of stuff out of the book, but if I can go to my Post-it notes and like see what, like a little summary about that page or something like that, it makes it a lot easier. I love how we're giving reading tips right now, dude. This is sick.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool though, because I think you get an opportunity to see that guys who have soccer backgrounds also have many different interests. And I think we can touch on that because, which circles back into your show, it's like people might see you as a soccer player, right? And oftentimes we don't get the opportunity to show people or get to talk about things that we have on our mind, or that our philosophies, our ideas, our, you know, like we run businesses. You are a business as a soccer player. Your craft is your business. That's how you make a living. You know, we have our businesses, and, you know, even if we're, you know, reading a book and we read like 200 pages, but we get one sentence that is a nugget that we can share, that's where it's worth it. So let's talk more about your life off the field, how you've developed as an entrepreneur, and what the Geo Show is all about. So you have a podcast. How did that develop? Where did it come from? What are you doing with it currently? And how are you going to take that into your next career? You know, because we were talking in the car, and you have this feeling of like you're about to cross a bridge in your life, right? You're still only 22, but it's funny how sometimes we can feel a change coming, right?
Yes.
Everyone's like, oh man, I feel like, man, this next year, you know, something's gonna happen. I can feel like I'm gonna cross a path. So tell us about how you're crossing that path.
Okay. Well, that was a lot, so I'm gonna go slowly into it all. So Geo Show, the Greatness Inward and Outward Show. You know, that's the acronym. Find, appreciate, and inspire people. So we find somebody, we appreciate them on the show, and hopefully that inspires the next generation of high schoolers, middle schoolers, young adults, or anybody who really needs guidance. Not saying that I'm some wisdom legend or I know all the answers. I don't. But when you share other people's experiences like we're doing right now, I just learned a different way to read a book. And I just learned this different way to do this. And you guys may not be as credible as Kobe Bryant or Michael Jackson or Drake or any of those people, but there's so many special things in each one of us that could even be more special than those people. And people don't take the time for people like us sometimes. But anyways, I don't want to get in that rant. But to get back to the Geo Show, it's to really appreciate those people who have a platform or don't have a platform, and show that there's something special inside of them that's burning. And that thing is going to burn, and it's going to keep getting better. And oftentimes in society, we see that people can't share about themselves because they could seem conceited, cocky, arrogant, and it's not any of that. Why can't we just be happy that Dre and you do AFC, and it's going to be awesome? And why can't I wish you the best? Why do I need to feel like a competitor and try to beat you out? Or have a podcast and try to beat out this podcast? Oh my God, they're doing it. People think like that, and it's literal delusion.
I would say you have to. I'll push back on you on that. But it's funny though that you say that, because you don't get to where you are without a fierce sense of competition. You, like we say, you're on the field and you're going to kill. Your mindset is kill.
Yes.
We were training some girls earlier. We had we had two goalkeepers. We had two girl goalkeepers, and they were doing really well until we brought them in and we said like, hey girls, like we want you guys to have a killer mentality. Like I want you to kill. And they're like, oh, okay, like that was a little bit much. But like it's like no, like when we told them you have to have a more competitive sense about what you're doing right now, and he brought it up and said, hey, you guys have to just want this more. Like, do you like goals going into the goal? No, they said no, and they're like, okay, so turn it up, and they turned it up, and that
was a great session. I was standing on the other side of the field, and I kept looking back, and I'm like, dude, they are dialed in.
We did
today.
crossing, and we made them scream, like,
We made them bark.
We made them bark.
It was different.
It was different. So anyway, I don't want to get on a tangent. I'm just saying, like, you gotta. I just don't know if I agree on that.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Okay.
And so, we're not trying to prove anything to anyone.
Okay, I see.
It's a show filled with love, immense love. I don't need to. I compete so often in my life. I compete every day. I compete to be the best soccer player. I compete to be the best person that I can in school to graduate. I have different stresses that stress me. I have thoughts that perplex me and make me go crazy. The last thing I want to do is make something that's going to perplex me even more. So all I do is make this for this to be my free space. For me to be, I'm not competing with nobody. This is my space, and in fact, the world needs this. So fortunately, the world needs this. I'm not competing anybody. There's no show, no platform like this where it's just about love and seeing the greatness in somebody. So if that what empowers me to bring somebody on and do that, then I'm going to do that. And if that's competition for anybody, it can be competition but for me, I'm getting to share the soul of somebody, not just their surface level, their heart or how they act. I'm showing like going deep into their soul and saying, I'm thankful for you. Like, I'm grateful that you let me shower at your place today and you gave me a home and I'm away from home. Like, it's getting like that. And you're like, oh my God, like people don't talk like this. They don't. And so the fact that you're able to do that, it really will perplex somebody to be like, oh my God, like, why does he think so deep into that? So again, the show's just into little things of love, kindness, and that's what it's about.
No, I'm all on board with that, dude. I just wanted to give you an opportunity to, if someone were to say like, hey, like life's not just all about love. It's a tough world out there. Mm-hmm. So how do you use the Geo show to understand that and take people's struggles and their pain or something that they're going through that's very difficult and use that to show them that there is hope and that there is a way to feel happy and feel some sort of peace in their life? How's the Geo show going to do that?
Hey, the Geo show's done that, my guy. It's awesome because I get a voicemail from I get a call from, I don't care if I impact half a person, 5 people, 10,000. I'm not here for money, for greed, for fame. I'm not. All I'm here for is, can I impact somebody through another person, not me? Can I impact it through somebody else? And can they feel that and make it? So I get a call from somebody and they're like, Gio, man, I was having such a terrible day. And I turn on your podcast and I just heard the love that you had to share. And man, I just needed that today because I'm like, it's such a cruel world out here. It's so hard. I'm competing. I'm putting on a face. I'm pretending for 8 hours of my day. Finally, when I'm back alone, I could breathe. I'm like, I know, dude, it's a hard world. I'm doing the same thing. But man, you're going to make it through and it's going to be okay. But the fact that he was able to, my platform is available to him 24/7 on YouTube, or my website's available 24/7, or my LinkedIn's available 24/7, and you could read what I'm putting out, and that changed you or that impacted you, that is enough. And so that's why I do it. I mean, there's no, I mean, it'd be great to be profitable and be like, oh my God, I'm going to be a millionaire from this show. Hopefully one day. But that's not the main driving force. The main driving force is to get a phone call like that and be like, wow, that guy, it bless him. That's amazing. So that's the point.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I have another follow-up, but I want you to jump in.
Go ahead.
So this is actually a great question that you've prompted. So I
Thanks.
so I don't know why that's funny, but no. So I was talking with my grandfather the other day, and he's getting old, and it's challenging for him. But he looked me like dead in the eyes because I've been telling him about what I'm up to and what I'm doing, and so he's talking with me, and he just kind of looks me dead in the eyes, and he goes, "Okay, that sounds great, but Antonio, what is your life's work?" And it floored me, He goes, "All those different things sound great, but what's your life's work?" And it was difficult for me to answer that because I really couldn't think of it on the spot of what's my life's work. I'm like, well, wait a second, I'm 26. Do I know my life's work? I mean, should you know your life's work at a young age? What does that even mean?
Man, dude, that gave me the chills. Dude.
Really?
What a deep question.
So I'm sitting there looking at him like, I gotta answer this. Like,
Could you answer it in the moment, truthfully?
Well, I'll tell you what. Since I've started coaching, so I stopped playing last November. It's almost been now a year of not playing, and not once have I had any desire to put those gloves on and train, which is very, very odd.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing it my whole life, but I just don't have that desire. And coaching has been a fantastic way for me to feel fulfilled and to pass what I know on to the next generation and do it with a deep sense of care and passion. So, I said, I told him, I said, I don't really know right now. I think I know, but what's your life's work? And, the background with my grandfather, he was a teacher for much of his life, right? Got his MBA at LMU, was a teacher, principal, educator. But then he went on to build these salons in West Hollywood and was quite successful doing that. So I'm expecting I'm a businessman, And he goes, "I'm a teacher." Just no hesitation. "I'm a teacher. I'm an educator." And I'm like, "But what? Aren't you a business owner, salon owner, or whatever?" And he goes, No. Don't get this wrong. I do that. I am a businessman, but my life's work is that I'm a teacher." And it completely floored me. I wanted to bring that up because maybe what we're doing on the day-to-day basis, it's what pays the bills, or it's what put foods on the table for our families. But maybe there's something that kind of lights our soul on fire that's different than what we actually do from a day-to-day basis, and that's our life's work. So I want to know if what you're talking about with the Geo Show, is that your life's work of providing that experience? Because it's a very deep thing. And then I want to ask you what your life's work is. Because I think I know it might be coaching, but I don't know. I wanted to ask both of you, what does that question mean to you? What's your life's work? And what would you answer to that?
I have something for that real quick. And it's a class that I'm taking this year, and I've talked to you about it. It's called The Good Life, and it's with a professor that I had my sophomore year, and I ended up withdrawing from his class because I was going to fail it. And I came back to him this year, and I had 2 classes with him, and I go up to him, and I'm like, "Dude, I withdrew from your class." And he's like, "Yeah, you did. I know you did. I really didn't care." And I'm like, "I want to prove to you this year that, I'm a changed man." And he's like, "All right." Just like that. And he has transformed my life within that class about thinking more than just what I am doing, as a job or at school with soccer and everything. And there's something called virtuous activity in accordance to reason. So virtuous activity meaning what your true life virtue is, accordance to reason with wisdom. And virtue comes from not what you're going to do in the future, not what you've done in the past, but what you're doing in the moment and what you're trying to give to people in the moment. And I feel that in the moment now, I'm just trying to impact as many people through the talent I have of coaching, but it goes way deeper. It's that's surface level, but the deeper level is seeing these kids 10, 15 years from now when they're now 22 in my shoes and seeing if they could be better than where I was at in their own way. You know what I mean? and taking the lessons, maybe like when they have kids, they're going to tell their kids, oh yeah, I used to train every day with Coach Antonio, with Coach Dre, and we used to like just go really hard, and they helped me get through these tough times and everything. And without them, like they taught me a lot, and I still use those things they taught me today, and I want to give those values to you as my kid, and maybe they want to go like coach their kid on the field one day when they play soccer. So like that's what I got out of that class. But going back to like, what was the question he asked you? Your life's work.
What's your life's work?
Your life's work.
And then he followed that with ... It's a calling. So whatever your life's work is, it's like it's a divine calling. So I believe in my life that it's
virtuous activity and according to
virtuous
exactly.
activity. It's
There
God's
you go.
way of showing you this is what I have planned for you. This is where your light can shine and truly pass that to someone else.
Yeah, and there's a study, like a longitudinal study about how a lot of older people in the United States, it was like an 80 or 90 year study of like started in 1940 and went all the way to like 2018. Like that long of a study of like grandparents, their great grandparents, now parents, and now their kids. And they said the number one thing that an older person said was relationships. The good life leads to relationships and investing in relationships. And there was a point in time where I was about to drop out of school and just pursue coaching full time. And this class really opened my eyes up and said, like, you are still at school for a reason because you lack in investing in relationships because you're so self-centered. And that's something I completely, like, I own up to it because I am that. And I think for my life's work, it's investing in relationships. I think that'll make me happy and that'll make others happy. And I really, really think that life is all about relationships. And I know you talked about that too in your podcast, which is really interesting because when you're full force, like starting a business or like going into your own career, you know what I mean, going pro, it's like, how can I be better? How can I keep pushing? How can I just keep going, that you forget about what's going on like outside or around you? You know what I mean? And that's
100%.
something it's so crazy because
100%.
it's such a easy thing to just look over and just push back. So answering your question, it's like investing in relationships.
That's a whole nother can of worms. Like,
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing that I could really go into.
We can go into it, but I
Yeah.
want to ask you first, what's your life's work? Right now, what's your life's work and why?
I think I was trying to figure that out a lot. I went to a national team camp, and there was a sports psychologist there, and her name was Agustina de Giovanni. And
what was her name?
Agustina di Giovanni.
Okay.
She was Olympic swimmer for Argentina, and great woman, and I was really like going through. I was like, I'm trying to figure out like, I have something that's bigger than soccer. Like, God gave me a gift, like He gives everyone a gift, and I got to figure out what that is. And everybody would tell me, Jew, you're such a great leader. You're a great leader. And that's how I knew that was a gift of mine. I was like, oh, it's leadership. But it wasn't just so plain, right? I wasn't just like, oh, it's a leader. Then I wanted to become a servant leader. And I wanted to help people in their journeys and help them discover their gifts. Like, I would love to help you discover your gift. That would be an honor. But for me, it's really showing love to those that I love. And I think that's my life's work, is to show my people that I'm there for them 24/7, any time of the day. Even though I play soccer and I'm busy, I have time to pick up my phone, to text you every day, or to call you. I have that time. If I said I don't have that time, I'm lying to you. Like, I go in my bed at 11:30 at night, and I look at my phone, and I could just send a text. And so that's pretty big to me. And then what I do on the Geo Show, that is my life's work. Not the Geo Show itself, just the message that we're doing to appreciate people, inspire a new generation, but with love and kindness. It's very simple. And that's my goal, and that's also came from the things that I've gone through in my life that have helped me be able to know how to attack that work. And And I'm excited to see what 30 brings. I feel like life's work can change. I don't feel like life's...
Like what?
I feel like...
What 30 brings?
Yeah, what 30 brings, what 40 brings, what 50 brings.
Okay.
The age.
Oh, okay. I was just...
Yeah. And so I'm like...
30, I'm like, okay.
I'm like, I think life's work will... Who knows? Maybe we do really well in our 20s life's work, and then when we hit 30, there's a new one. Or
Well, that's
maybe...
a good point. It's always kind of like a ever-evolving thing where your life's work is, like you said, in this moment, in this day. Like, you know what you're doing right now. You know what your goal is for the week, the month, the year. You have your 5, 10, 15-year goals, which I think people should have. But like you said, you know, like...
I feel like what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to do.
Exactly.
Right now.
Right.
I don't know if it's going to be a full life's work. Maybe I'd be fine with it. But I guess we'll find that out as time goes on. Yeah. So interesting.
That was such a great question. Was it... Oh, man, I don't even know how to word that. Like, have you ever thought of that question before?
Hell no. Hell no. Because I always thought like a life's work was something that you would look at after
a whole bunch,
you
yeah.
know? Like maybe at retirement. Oh, this was my catalog of my life's work. I
see.
built this up. I did this, this, and this. But when I'm here right now at ground zero, building everything, it's like I don't know what my life's work is. I know what I need to do. I know I need to do these things today to push the ball down the road to get to where we ultimately want to go. But it's like, I don't know what my life's work is yet. But it has to be, right now, it has to be, well, he said, well, what completely gives you joy? And I just told him, like, the joy of discovery when I watch a player discover how to do something, or they see they can do it for the first time, or they have confidence to see that joy in anyone, really, regardless if they're a soccer player. That is an undeniably rewarding moment.
And I feel that comes with all your ventures.
Yeah.
Coaching, gloveless, when someone wears a glove for the first time and absolutely falls in love with it.
Yeah.
When it comes to what you're doing with real estate and like doing all that stuff within that, like that all aligns with what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would agree. And I think that that's where I basically came back to him with that answer. It's like, well, I love doing that, you know, helping in that way. I love coaching. Love it. Absolutely love it. And like you said, like in all those 3 disciplines, there's something there that I love. And it was just, I just can't get over that he asked it in that way, though. Like, what's your life's work? And I think if we all kind of approach what we're doing right now and with that lens, there's just so much more gratitude flowing from that frame of mind.
You're looking at it from a divine frame of mind.
Yeah, it's like, what's your life's work? It's like, what are we even here to do? Like, why are we even here? You know? Like, if you just, like, peel back the onion, like, why are we here? And, like, if we're not doing our life's work with, like, intent,
then what are you doing? That's what
happens, right? We just kind of get into a rut or
a rhythm.
But it's like, dude, we're here to try to achieve something. But achieve something by helping and, like you said, serving, leading, all that stuff.
It's great to think that at the age we're at.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people get to maybe your grandpa's age and look back on their life and be like, man, did I do anything? You know what I mean? Yeah. I read that in the book. People get to that point in their life and they look back on it and they're like, I should have done this. I should have done that.
Yeah.
Versus now we're thinking this type of way. And and I hope, like, hopefully someone's listening to this and they're able to just, like, be like, oh, man, I've never thought of that question before. Yeah. What is that for me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And at the end, he's just like, and make sure that you take care of yourself. That was the last thing.
Yep.
Which I know we've talked about.
We've talked about that a lot.
Like, I know, like,
I'm so happy,
that you're like 100 miles an hour too. How do you, because, you know, you also said to me earlier today that peace is something that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
So how do you achieve peace? Like, how do you find peace within the constant chaos and go, and I don't know where my next team's going to be. I don't know what I'm going to get paid with this club. I don't know where I'm going to live next year. Those are like serious realities as a pro player. And how do you do that? How do you figure that out?
Yeah, I think now I'm navigating so many uncertainties. So with that peace, God gives me so much peace. And he's so good. And he really does it for me. Like, he gives me those God winks and he flexes on me. He's like, Gio, I'm here. He's like, don't worry, I'm here. And I actually had a roommate in Revolution, and I like did something, I can't remember exactly what it was, with money. And I said, I'm gonna get money somehow. I was like, it's gonna be legal, and I'm gonna get money somehow. I was like, and I was like, it's gonna happen. I was like, I'm nice to people, I'm good to people. People treat me nice. And, I mean, it's gonna happen. And I come to California, and there's just so many opportunities that have been given to me and earned, and so through this peace, I have peace, like with this draft, with knowing which team I'm going to be out, how much money I'm going to get paid, what I'm going to do. I know God's got my back. It's going to be okay. And before believing in God, people who don't believe in God might be like, oh, that's such like a cop-out answer. Like, that's so lame. But it's so true, and I can't wait till they figure out that fulfillment, that peace, it really comes from God. And yeah, I think it comes from there. And when we spoke about earlier what I'm trying to get to right now, and I feel like it's almost there, I said peace. And that was more not divine peace. That was more peace of, like, people are going to give me peace. Because people right now do not give me peace.
Why?
Oh, that's a lot. People really...
People are a lot to deal with, or what?
Yeah, everybody's a lot to deal with. I'm a lot to deal with. I'm sure I don't give people peace sometimes. I don't make you feel exactly understood how you want to feel understood, even though I try my best. For some people, I do.
But wait a second. Is it your responsibility to make sure that I'm understood exactly how I want to be understood? And what, you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of energy for you.
It's a lot of energy.
You're very empathetic in the sense that you would even be willing to go there for people, which I think is very admirable. And that's just amazing, right? As a man, to just want to say, you know what? I'm going to try to go that extra mile and even give a crap about what Dre might be feeling right now. Mm-hmm. Some people don't have the ability to be like, to even do that. So, but is it your job though?
Do you think that comes from your faith?
Yeah, like, what is that?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, you're trying to follow, right?
I'm sorry, we give so many different questions, like, but my brain will just go with ba, you know? Let's just start with this.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just
got
start.
it.
Okay.
With God, you know, I sin so much. So many people sin so much, and you love me. And I was watching something the other day, and it was like, you don't understand how much he loves you. Like, if you killed somebody, he loves you. Like, he wants you to change so bad. He wants you to take that 180 so bad, and he will be right there. And for me, it's like, if you do me wrong as a friend, it's not that you can walk over me or you can do these. You can't do that. But I have grace for you. We're all living life one time. Life's not so serious. I understand you make mistakes. And I wanna just get to know you. And I know life's so hard and you might not get it right now. And I don't get it right now, but can we not get it together? Like, what questions do you have? And not a lot of people do that. So I hope just that, even though I'm not fully understanding them, me trying, I hope, is enough sometimes. Is it my job? I don't know. It's not my job, but I choose to do it. So I'm the one putting myself in it. So, yeah, that's really it.
Makes sense.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Dude, this has been so enjoyable.
Where are we at on time?
Yeah, I think we still got some time, but I wanted to go your experience with playing with the Puerto Rican national team. How has that been? And when was your first time playing for the national team? Where is your future with the national team, if you know? How has that played out? How did that play out, you getting scouted and all that?
Yeah, so with the national team, both of my brothers played at the Puerto Rico national team, but different managers, different staffs were in, so it was never related. They didn't really, help me get in. I messaged Puerto Rico on Facebook. Like I did the MLS Academies, I messaged them by myself on a multiculturalartist.com email. That was my email. And I went on Facebook and I said, I'm going to send an email. I didn't know how to speak Spanish because my parents didn't teach me Spanish from a young age. And also, I didn't put a lot of effort to learn Spanish. That was on me. So I went to Google Translate, made an email, sent it to the Federation, and then they responded. And then from there, I went out for a trial. I didn't make it when I was U15, 14, 15 at DC United.
Okay.
And then 2 months later, they said, actually, you made it for the U20s. And I'm like, how can I make it for the U20s and not the U15s? And then I went to the U20s. I didn't think I was going to play, and I ended up and then they underestimated me, and I played really well. And from that point on, I've gotten called into every single Puerto Rico national team camp since that time. And still today, I still get called, and so I'm grateful for it. And there's no other thing than playing for your island. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want you to go more into what we were talking about earlier this morning. And tell me what it's like, first of all, playing in front of 25,000 people.
Yeah, so those opportunities, they came a handful of times.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And we played again.
Just realized what I'm going to ask him.
Yeah,
so,
I realized.
Yeah, tell me what that's like, and then I'll follow
up. It's incredible. It's a different animal. You're dealing with something. You're dealing with families that may want to kill you if you win, or they want to break your bus down, or I'm wondering if a bomb's going to blow up behind my bus right now with the cops escorting us to the game. There's a different passion, a different intensity level that comes with playing countries where they attract that many fans. And there's a certain weight where you're like, I'm an international footballer. And that's when you really, really feel it, I feel like. And it's an incredible feeling. Yeah.
Where was the scariest place you played?
Scariest?
He doesn't get scared.
He's a stone cold killer.
Oh, he is.
I wouldn't say
and
scary.
this question is going to explain that.
I think scariest, I don't know if that, I'm not scared. Of a place?
I love that.
I knew it.
Of a place, I'm not scared. Yeah, no.
Where did you think a bomb was going to go off behind your bus?
I think that could have
Salvador.
happened like El Salvador.
Yeah.
Yeah, El Salvador. Yeah, that would have been nasty.
So this question I have for you, you were explaining a situation were you playing El Salvador in that game?
Yes.
Okay, so Puerto Rico, El Salvador, you're playing in front of 25,000, and you share with me that you're not necessarily up for this game, which is interesting because you would expect as a player you'd be up for it. But I've been there where you're playing important matches, and you might just not be as amped as you would expect yourself to be for a big occasion.
Dude, I've felt that so many
For
times.
example.
Yeah.
So take me through how you got into the zone.
So I wanted to get amped up for this game because I was like, damn, I'm starting, and I'm playing against El Salvador. I'm with Zarek Valentin, a center back in the MLS, won the MLS Cup, Portland Timbers. He went to Minnesota. He's at Minnesota right now. And I'm like, damn, I'm playing with my role model, with a role model center back. I need to get up for this game. And I see myself as starting lineup, and I'm not nervous. I see all the fans. I go out for the one. I'm like, this is the life. Like, this is why you play soccer. And I'm up, but I'm not at my expectation. You know what you said. I'm not at where I thought I was going to be. And I'm like, I need to find a way to get up for the game. So I go through warm-ups. Game's about to start, right? There's probably 5 minutes about to start. We were going to walk on the field, but there ended up being a little bit delay. I'm not sure if it was the fans or whatever. And I'm like, guys, I need a bleed right now. Like, I need to feel my blood. And they're like, and my teammates were like, what are you talking about? And
What's funny is that you would say that, you know? Like to your teammates, like, guys.
I was like, I need to bleed.
I need to bleed.
I need to bleed. And
your center back's just like, dude.
I'm like, I want that guy in front of me if I'm in goal.
Seriously, true, honestly.
So I get the little pouches, and you know the ammonia salts?
Yeah.
So we have them, our trainers have them, so I grab an ammonia salt. I go, like, that's not doing it for me. And I'm like,
they never
and
did
I'm
it
like,
for me either.
I'm like this, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, And then I get back to normal, and I'm like, that's not doing it. I was like, guys, I need to bleed. I was like, I need to bleed on my ear. I need to feel it. And it's like 5 minutes before the game, we like warm up a little bit again, and a teammate like hit me. And then
Like a punch, a slap?
Huh?
Like a punch, a slap?
Yeah,
Wait,
like a
a
punch.
teammate hit you, or you got hit by like a beer from the stands?
No. Like a teammate hit me a little bit, and I'm
But
like,
like on purpose, because you're like, hey.
No, not on purpose.
Okay.
It's just in a warm up, like
Okay.
by accident.
Okay.
And I'm like, and I'm still not bleeding. So then we get to the game and we start. But the reason I mentioned that is because it's kind of weird. Like I got hit in the air, whatever. Then I go up for a challenge. It might have been a header or like a thing or like a tackle, and I get elbowed like the first probably 2 minutes in the game. And I feel my ear, and there's like crust, like right here, and I see it, and it's blood, and I look at the bench, and I put my fingers in my mouth, and I'm like, I got it. I'm like, I'm in it. And I'm bleeding. And I start going like this in my ear, and I start white, and they're like, Drew, don't put on your jersey, because you're not allowed to have blood on your jersey.
Yeah.
And I literally start just rubbing it everywhere. I'm like, and I'm licking my lips. I'm like, let's go. I'm like, we're ready. And I killed it. I had a great game. And the bench started laughing. They were like, what the hell? And yeah, I just needed that. And so,
Yep, that's just
unreal.
another example of how elite competitors need that flip to go off in their head of going from normal to psychotic killer. And that's
what it takes at that level.
That's what it takes.
it
100%.
takes that. If you don't do that, you're going to
You're
get ran
toast.
over.
Yep.
Someone's going to tackle you.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's you have to go into kill mode. I used to call it that, at least. I call it kill mode.
That's the
Like-
first time I ever entered that kind of mode.
Really?
Yeah.
Like first time.
To bleed, where I wanted blood.
And lick it.
And lick my blood. That was the first time I licked my blood. To kill mode, no, I entered kill mode a lot. But like
Yeah. But that was like
that was like another level. It was like that kill mode isn't gonna fulfill this game.
I see what you're saying.
I need to bleed.
Right. It needs to be barbaric. It needs to be war. It needs
Gruesome.
to be country versus
Nasty.
country. Just
Crazy.
oh, man, I
That
could
is
go. Let's
awesome,
go out
man.
there right now.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh my
Run
god.
through this wall.
Like, honestly, I feel there's no other feeling than going into a mode like that, personally.
Yeah.
And now, how, like, you still got a long playing career ahead of you, and that's all up to God. But how are you going to replace that kill mode, do you think,
After he's done playing.
after he's done playing?
Great question.
That's a great question. I don't have the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna need that kill mode if I want to be big time and make a lot of money. But I still don't know if I'm gonna want the kill mode. I might just want to put it out. I might just want to throw it to the side. I don't need it. That's how I feel right now. I don't want that. I don't want any of that. I want to just help people. And I want to be a servant to other people, be loving, because that's what life's work is about. It's not about, for me, being a competitor and being nasty and wanting to freaking kill you this game to win. It's to love you unconditionally and see you grow. And so that's what my thing is right now.
I love that, man.
We'll see if it changes.
Yeah.
It could.
That's cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So before I hit you with our last question, I want you to plug in where people can find you at, your podcast, your LinkedIn, anything you want to plug in right now. I would love for people to be able to listen or just do that. So if you want to plug in all your stuff, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so everyone watching, first of all, give AFC a follow. But you can follow me on The Geo Show on our Instagram, thegeo.show. And you could also go on our website, geo@thegeoshowpodcast.com. And that's enough. And just keep being you. And I love you guys.
Awesome.
That's really it.
Brilliant.
Awesome. So for the last question, I listened to a podcast earlier today, and it was just I thought this question would be perfect to end with like our podcast today. If you were to get stripped away later in your life with all the content you'll be putting out within the Geo Show, within all the lessons you're trying to tell people, and you have no access, people have no access to that anymore, and you want to give people your 3 truths that you live by. The 3 truths meaning 3 lessons you want to leave for people. What are those 3 lessons that you want to leave with people if everything was stripped away?
Wow.
On the spot.
Wow.
Wow.
Drop the mic, dude.
3, three lessons I'd want people to live by.
3 truths.
3 truths. To love each other as deeply as you can, to make someone feel loved. 2, to be grateful for everything that God has given you in your life, and being grateful that God is so amazing. And the third one would have to be probably I'm trying to get the word for it. What's the word when you hold somebody, when you hold yourself to a standard, you don't plagiarize, you don't cheat?
Accountability.
Authentic.
You guys are close, but those aren't it.
You hold yourself to what standard?
A standard.
Yeah, it's like ethics. You know, you hold yourself to say, like, you're not going to lie to somebody.
Ethical code, moral standard.
Yeah, something like that, but there's a word for it.
Virtue. Virtues?
No, it's not virtue. It's okay. I'll do a different one. The third one would have to be...
Someone out there figure out what that word is.
Yeah, comment below.
The third one would have to be... try your best. And that's it. Yeah, try your best.
Love it.
To love God and try your best. That's it.
Love it.
Those are the only 3 things you need, ladies and gentlemen, to have a successful life, according to Giovanni Calderón.
100%. Wow, what a show! I had so much fun talking. I don't know, you guys, yeah?
Loved it.
I had a blast. I mean, there was so much more that we could go into, too.
100%. Might need to do another one for sure.
Part 2 coming soon.
Yeah.
It was incredible, and I'm so thankful that you guys even spent this much time with me, got to understand me, and I'm so happy I got to understand both of you on a deeper level, and with an audience that's going to watch.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap for the second episode of the AFC podcast. We will see you on the next one. Thank you.
Awesome. So it's still running.
Yeah.
So let's ask him what it was like training with you today.
Oh.
Because he has some really good.
Bro, yeah.
Like, and just like just talk about it. Like, and you can talk about Dre. Like, you told me like it was the best private session you've ever had. So you don't. You can just like, we'll post it. Like,
yeah.
We're gonna ask him one more question. Okay.
Yeah. So
you want me to do it?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You do it.
All right. So Giovanni. Okay. Start again.
Give a background.
Of what?
Yeah, because it's gonna be a reel, most likely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Gio. 1 second. Got my thoughts. So we were lucky enough to have Gio join us today. This morning we had sessions at the park, and we welcomed Gio to one of our sessions. He watched us train other clients, and then actually Coach Dre put him through a pro AFC session. So we're gonna ask Gio, what was his AFC experience like, and if he would recommend it to other pros out there.
So for anyone watching, I'm not getting paid or being cut some sort of deal to say something good. And I wouldn't be here if I really didn't care about the program or thought any high thoughts about it. But really today I came in and I was like, okay, I'll do a training. We'll see how it goes. A lot of people, there's a lot of private trainers out there, a lot of them that, are using a pro's image, likeness, to promote their brand and what they do. But when I came today and I really went through the session and I got to know Coach Dre and Coach Antonio, I went through a session that was filled with thought, reasoning. They catered to my abilities and what I need to do in my own position as a center back, as a 5 and a 4. and it was great to see that they really cared about my development in that session and not just an IG flick or an IG reel or get some content of me to promote them exactly. It was kind of a mutual thing where I felt kind of cared about in the session, not just used as a player. And so for any pro players that are looking for a really good session and are looking for ones filled with detail, expertise, and cater to your playing needs, I would definitely recommend AFC, Coach Stray, Coach Antonio. They know what they're talking about, and they really helped me in just a small hour. And I'm sure they would have done more. They would have scheduled more sessions if I'd like in the future. And so I'm so grateful to them. And really, my highest praise goes to that session today. And it was unlike any other session that I had because I trained with a lot of trainers, and they weren't as good as the session that I had today. And so I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
No problem.